Well, this is another microprocessor I thought about that benefits babies. Um, Parents like to do things with their babies that improve the baby's development. And it's been shown with even non-human animals that an enriched environment uh, full of activities causes them to be clever when they're fully grown, as well as have um, various beneficial effects on emotional quality. So physical enrichment activities make sense. So if a baby now somehow has just automatically enough food all the time whenever she likes, what are some of the things that parents can do that create emotional interaction with their kids? Well, one approach is a computer-controlled thing, which is kind of like Baby Simon. Simon was a game from the 20th century that was electronic, where like a color and a shape would light up, and then you would touch the color and then the shape after it lit up and things like that. It was basically a display and then follow electronic amusement. So a version of this that would bring benefit to babies would be something like 2 or 3 colors of laser pointers, and as well as the ability to tell where the laser pointers were pointed. And the laser pointers would make little colorful shapes on the baby. And then the baby would reach out and touch the shapes. And then when the baby had actually managed to reach out and touch one of the shapes, there would be like a musical tone, and that would be a happy musical tone. And maybe the colored shape would be something particularly pleasant from the baby's perspective. And then that way the baby would learn to be able to touch all of the parts of its body and hear all of the words that named all of the parts of the baby's body. And also what the baby could do is that as it was moving its hands and arms towards the different body parts, if the baby was moving them at a certain rate, maybe they could be lit up with a particular color to give the baby the ability to make smooth and graceful motions as well. So it would be multiple kinds of knowledge and coordination at the same time. And basically it would be done using these laser pointers, making pretty shapes on the baby that the baby reached out and touched everywhere on their body. Now, one reason to base this with a new IC rather than just a microprocessor is actually something that the Gates Foundation is supporting, which is a computer that can spot mosquitoes with a optical sensor and then zap them with a laser. But it does this in the presence of human beings, which means that this laser is so good at its job that it makes sure that the lasers always aim their output at places that are physiologically absence of consequence to the people. Because you'd want all of the lasers that were illuminating the baby to make sure that they were always just on places that were beneficial to the baby. Or that if the baby did something really wild and looked right at the laser, that the laser would be able to figure that out before there was any difficulty to the baby. So that's a reason to have an IC that does just this thing. Another reason to have an IC that does just this thing is when you look at what during the 20th century were called laserium events. These were beautiful vector graphics that were drawn with lasers that people liked to look at just because they were beautiful. And they were usually accompanied with music. Those were accompanied or created with vibrating mirrors that generated waveforms. Usually there would be a horizontal as well as vertical vibrating mirror, and the vibrating mirrors would steer the lasers to make the shapes. With a three-dimensional version, of course, then you'd also add a Z mirror to the thing as well. There's already an IC that synchronizes tens of thousands of micro mirrors to discrete custom projected displays. Thus, an IC that moves just a few mirrors to control brightly colored lasers, as well as has the kind of optical sensing and real-time operation to make sure that the lasers were always at just the right place on a human being's body, could be a new kind of custom IC rather than just a microprocessor application. You could do it with a microprocessor, but it could be cheaper at certain quantities with a dedicated IC.